Mr. Slobo, thank you very much for your time. Immediately in my mind, I think the drought that's gripped South Africa since 2016 as a contributing factor. What other factors have contributed to this decline?
Yeah, I mean, you're right that the drought of 2016 at the time, 2015-16, also did have a somewhat similar effect as what we are seeing this time around. And unfortunately, this year again, we have been affected by the drought in the western side of South Africa, your Western Free State and Northwest, and that is leading to these prospects for a lower harvest, which is what has taken us from being the leading maize producer to the levels of that we are currently in now, which is the second position, with Nigeria taking the first stop. But I guess then the most important insight is also the fact that Nigeria will be the leading maize producer this season. Not only that they have increased their yields, they haven't done anything on that end. It's just South Africa really having a bad season. But in terms of productivity, South Africa really remains one of the productive countries when you look at the yield perspective.
I was about to ask you the very question you're dealing with, which is what is it that Nigeria is doing right in order for it to dominate in this way in maize production? What about technological advances? Is it something that they perhaps are a step ahead from us?
No. I think the guys are only just blessed with good rainfall this year. They're expecting about 11 million tons of maize, while in South Africa we have estimates, some ranging as low as 8, with some the upper end being around about 10.7 million tons of maize. In terms of technological advancements, unfortunately, the regulations on that side, they're still moving extremely slow. They have not really moved in adopting some of the seeds varieties, for example, which you see in South Africa, the genetically modified seeds, which we have really been utilizing since the early 2000s. And you can see the difference on the benefits of this, Colin, because if you look at the Nigerian maize yields, for example, on average, it's roughly around about 1.6 tons per hectare. But if you look at South Africa, in good season, we could go double digits. In bad seasons like this year, we're looking at a yield of around about 4.6 tons per hectare. So even though they're having a good season and we are having a bad season, in terms of yields, we are still about 3 times higher than the Nigerian side. And I guess the other thing, Colin, that you might appreciate is the area at which they plant, which is 3 times what South Africa currently plants. So I think if Nigeria could move in terms of the technological advancements, then the discussion could start to change. I think that's when they can really move away from the position that they are currently in and really be the leaders.
Just as a final question to you, Wandile Slobo, talk to us about the possible financial impact on the ordinary consumer. I'm already worried that I'm probably going to be paying extra for meal.
Yeah, unfortunately on that end, Dolly, you will be paying a little extra, but the good news is whatever we are currently looking at it now, at least you have about the next 6 months or so at which prices could remain at a relatively affordable levels. Where I see a bit of an uptick is when you're heading towards the end of the year, when you're looking at around about September, around that of the year, I think that's where you will start to see the prices of the meal increasing and all some of the grain-related food products. But the important fact that I could mention is that while we are currently in a drought season, the impact on consumers might not be as harsh as what we saw in 2015-16. Food inflation, for example, we're estimating about 5% year on year this year, while 2015-16, you were working with a number of around about double digits, 2016 being averaging about 10.5%. So this year, yes, it's bad, but not that terrible as what we saw in the recent drought.
All right, thank you very much for your insights, Wandile Slobo. He is an agricultural economist talking to us about South Africa being overtaken by Nigeria as the maize producer.